What's going on, Yankees fans? Buckle up, because this one flew completely under the radar, and yet it might end up being one of the sneakiest, smartest moves the Bronx Bombers make all season. While everyone was glued to their screens waiting for a blockbuster, waiting for a headline name, waiting for fireworks, the Yankees quietly struck a deal that could pay off in a very big way. An under-the-radar pitcher from the Colorado Rockies is officially headed to New York, and this isn't just another depth move. This is the kind of trade that championship teams make when they know exactly what they're doing. At first glance, you might be asking yourself, who? And that reaction is exactly why this move is so fascinating. The Rockies pitcher coming to the Bronx doesn't come with national hype, doesn't trend on social media every 5 minutes, and hasn't been plastered across ESPN's front page. But when you dig deeper, when you actually look at the numbers, the pitch mix, the advanced metrics, and the situation he's been stuck in out in Colorado, you start to see why the Yankees front office zeroed in on him. Pitching in Colorado is a nightmare. Coors Field is a hitter's paradise, and it has a long history of making talented arms look ordinary or even bad. The thin air, the massive outfield gaps, the way breaking balls lose bite, it's not an environment that allows pitchers to show their true potential. And yet, despite all of that, this pitcher managed to quietly put together stretches where his stuff popped. The velocity was there. The movement was there. The strikeout ability flashed. The problem wasn't talent, it was context. The Yankees are betting on that context changing the moment he puts on pinstripes. Moving from Coors Field to Yankee Stadium might sound scary to some fans, but for pitchers like this, it's often a massive relief. His breaking pitches will bite harder. His fastball will play up. His confidence will rise when routine fly balls don't turn into doubles off the wall. And most importantly, he's now surrounded by one of the best pitching development systems in baseball. This is where the Yankees have quietly become elite. Over the last few seasons, New York has transformed pitchers who were overlooked, undervalued, or struggling elsewhere into reliable contributors. We've seen it with relievers. We've seen it with starters. We've seen tweaks to grips, release points, pitch sequencing, and usage patterns completely change careers. This trade fits that exact blueprint. What makes this move even more interesting is the timing. The Yankees didn't wait for the deadline frenzy. They didn't overpay in a panic. They identified a need early, especially with workload concerns, injuries, and inconsistency creeping into the pitching staff. This move gives them flexibility. It gives them options. And it gives Aaron Boone another arm he can deploy in multiple ways depending on how the season unfolds. Right now, the expectation is that this pitcher could start out in a hybrid role. He's stretched out enough to give length if needed, but his stuff also plays extremely well in shorter bursts. That opens the door to him becoming a multi-inning weapon out of the bullpen, someone who can bridge the gap between the starter and the late-inning guys. And let's be honest, in October, those types of arms become gold. The Yankees aren't just thinking about April or May. They're thinking about October baseball. They're thinking about matchups. They're thinking about lineups stacked with lefties or righties. And this pitcher brings something they value deeply: versatility. He's shown the ability to handle both sides of the plate, and with the Yankees' analytics-driven game planning, that could turn into a serious advantage. Another key point here is cost. This wasn't a trade that gutted the farm system. The Yankees didn't give up one of their top-tier prospects. Instead, they leveraged depth, something they've been quietly building for years. That's important because it keeps them flexible for bigger moves down the line. This trade doesn't close doors, it opens them. From the Rockies' perspective, this move also makes sense. Colorado is in a very different phase than New York. They're evaluating, reshaping, and trying to find long-term pieces. For them, moving an arm who may not fully reach his potential in that environment is logical. For the Yankees, it's an opportunity to unlock something that's been hiding in plain sight. Don't be surprised if you hear pitching coaches talking about small adjustments almost immediately. A slight change to his slider grip, a tweak to his fastball location, a heavier emphasis on one pitch over another. These are the types of changes the Yankees excel at making quickly. And once those adjustments click, fans are going to start asking how this guy was ever flying under the radar in the first place. There's also a mental aspect to this move that shouldn't be overlooked. Pitchers often talk about the weight of pitching in New York, but for some players, it's energizing. It sharpens focus. It brings out a competitive edge. This pitcher now has a chance to redefine his career on the biggest stage in baseball. That kind of motivation matters. Early internal projections reportedly show optimism. The Yankees believe his underlying numbers suggest improvement is not just possible, but likely. Strikeout rates, spin efficiency, and hard-hit ball percentages all hint at a pitcher who's better than his surface stats indicate. That's exactly the profile New York targets when they're hunting for value. For fans, this is the kind of move that may not dominate talk radio today, but could dominate conversations in a few months. If he comes out dealing, if he locks down key innings, if he becomes a trusted arm in high-leverage spots, this trade will look brilliant in hindsight. And if October rolls around and he's getting big outs against elite hitters, this will be remembered as one of those "how did we not see this coming" moments. It also sends a message to the clubhouse. The front office is paying attention. They're proactive. They're not sitting back and hoping things work out. They're making moves to support this team and maximize its championship window. That matters in a long season. So while this trade may not have shaken the baseball world overnight, don't sleep on it. These are the moves that separate good teams from great ones. These are the bets that, when they hit, tilt a season in your favor. The Yankees saw something in this Rockies pitcher, and now it's their job to bring it out. Keep your eyes on his debut because the first few appearances will tell us a lot about how the Yankees plan to use him, and more importantly, how he adapts to the spotlight of the Bronx. Every inning, every pitch, every swing against him will be scrutinized by fans and analysts alike. But don't let that fool you. This is exactly the kind of environment where a player like this can thrive. Watch how Boone deploys him, whether he comes in for high-leverage situations, mop-up innings, or a multi-inning bridge roll. Each choice will give us clues about the trust and confidence the coaching staff has in him. Pay attention to the pitch mix, because that's where the real story is. This pitcher has weapons that may not have been fully showcased in Colorado, but Yankee Stadium could amplify every single one of them. His fastball, his breaking ball, the way he sequences pitches, these elements could suddenly become far more effective when combined with New York's coaching, analytics, and a defense built to maximize his strengths. Notice how he attacks hitters, how he adjusts mid-game, and how he manages tense situations. Those are the subtle details that make a pitcher move from being just another arm to a legitimate key contributor. And watch the confidence. Confidence isn't just mental. It translates into execution, composure, and the ability to bounce back from a rough inning. If he shows composure, aggression, and poise early on, Yankees fans could be witnessing the birth of a quietly dominant arm in this bullpen or rotation. Because there's a very real chance that, weeks from now, fans will look back at this trade and call it one of the smartest, most under-the-radar moves of the year. And when that happens, remember this moment when it didn't come with fanfare, when it didn't dominate headlines, when it was simply a quiet, calculated step towards something far bigger. Sometimes, the loudest wins truly start with the quietest moves, and this may just be one of those moments in Yankees history.